Hey everyone, you're with Matthew. You're at the Hub. You may not know it, you're in the Matrix. And I'm here today with Kevin Kling. And we're exploring, you got, in some ways, two disabled guys talking about trauma, loss, and disability. However, in the last segment, Kevin, born with a different arm, never thought of himself as disabled until a car accident 18 years ago, where his other arm got completely paralyzed. So for him, he didn't, in his mind, enter the ranks of being disabled until 18 years ago, which I just love. That's how strong and beautiful kids are and how normal the world looks. Yeah. But I want to talk about it. So I said, I hope you don't mind being called two disabled guys. In a way, that sounds like a great line for a dialogue of ours, two disabled guys talking, right? But I want to talk about the sensation when you had your arm become paralyzed, and the loss that meant, and the big change. The sensation of loss is something that is inherent, or feeling like you've lost something is inherent to any kind of injury.
Not just energy.
Right.
I think you go through the same process, whether it's a limb or a heart or a promise or a person. That loss, that chain of reactions that it creates is the same, whether it's any of those things.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that I think is so interesting is when it does become physicalized, right? In some sort of physical injury, and you have to deal with your life has changed but there's a sensation to it that is also very tangible, and this is where I think that story and body actually intersect. Is that so many of any effective story, something's lost, something's found.
Yes.
I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's how a story's created. I mean, you have your protagonist, and they either lose something or are thrust into a world that's not their own, and then they have to manage it through gifts they have, through gifts they're given, through other people, through helpers, and then they emerge on the other side. And what I always think that we've got to remember is that the key to a hero's journey of any kind is the return home. And how has home changed? How have you changed? I mean, that's the thing, is that that about loss is that you're headed back home, but it's a different home now. It's not the home. You can't look at home the same way anymore. But it's important that you go there.
Yeah, and I think that's why healing in story is like central to both of our perspectives. Is that the only way you can recapture what is maybe perceived outwardly as loss, that energy can't be left behind. If you leave your loss behind, right, the energy of it, you leave too much of your life behind.
No, that's part of grieving. That's like when I lost my father, let's put it, the places that made me miss him for so many years now bring him back to me. So I couldn't leave it behind, because now those places bring him back. And now when I go there, I'm filled with him instead of feeling the loss of him.
One of the lines we like to say at Mind Body Solutions is you can never overcome a disability or overcome your life. But the same goes with stories. And so this inner mythology we talked about in a different segment, like being able to be aware of the ways, I know exactly what you mean about certain things that where the loss was now allows the ghost to come back into me. So the transformation of this sensation. What I think is so interesting and important analogous parallel processes is that it can happen through story, which is what our culture does kind of with and without knowing it, but it also can happen through your body. Like trying to actually process that more through the body. And so like I'm not exactly sure what I want to ask you here, but like how, in your perspective, the difference between doing it in story and doing it through your body, are they different? How are they different?
Well, your body is a story, and so so your relationship to your body is a story. Every scar. I remember I got on stage one time with a guy, and we said, Let's do scar stories. We have too many of those. Let's stick to the head. Let's do head stories. We never even got down to our eyebrows. We told so many stories. And it's like, because every scar holds a story, every scar we have. And so our bodies, those scars are reminders of different stories. The scars, and I loved what a doctor told me. He says, some people scar on the outside and some on the inside. And I go, boy, is that ever true? And I wasn't, that is, some of us do scar on the outside, that things that have happened to us in our lives are apparent by our actions, but a lot of us, and Minnesotans are really notorious for this, we hold our scars on the inside, but they're still there. They're still the stories and the reminders of everything that have happened to us. We carry those with us.
So one of the things that I believe in a future segment or two, we've done this before, we've explored it through working with you in yoga, is that one of the ways that stories can transform, you don't always have to make it all mentally conscious, right? Your body can actually, like the reason why the therapist said you get up and walk and miss the car is that the body could move the same energy at a level your mind could never move.
Right.
So there is some combination between the mental, the story part, and the body part, and then when they can come together, the healing.
And that's important as a good storyteller. If you're a good storyteller, you're not only telling the story, but you're in the story with the listener. I mean, that's part of being a good storyteller, is that ability to be both places at once, be both the dream and the dreamer.
All right, so if you haven't figured out, this is what happens in our workshops called Body, Mind, Story, where Kevin and I and Patricia Francisco actually take people and we explore story and its intersection with body. And this is one of the central things that we think at Mind Body Solutions is key to healing, and healing on multiple levels. And it's not just healing physically and then healing psychologically. One of the things about story is that it transcends both. It actually brings body and mind together into a unified front. So that's why you'll see in Mind Body Solutions training that we work with story too. So definitely check out our website. I hope that you will sometime join Kevin. The good thing about working with Kevin is no matter what, you're guaranteed of laughter because he carries that wisdom. Until next time, in the Matrix.
Thanks for watching.
At
Mind Body Solutions, we train yoga teachers and healthcare providers from all over the world. If you'd like to learn more, check us out at mindbodysolutions.org.